Good, good. They're all popping on. Let's go.
Nicole's here, Darlene's here, Maria's here.
Yeah.
Bula's
Bula,
here.
Bula got the link. Good. We were, yeah,
Rosa's here.
he's in it to win it. Oh my God. Same with Darlene. Nicole, I remember your name. Um, I'd love to see your face because maybe that will, I'll bring back
If you can.
memories of us chatting. Yeah, if you can. Maria, haven't seen you before. Nice to see you. Nicole, I remember you now. Yes, she's that fit girl, lots of muscle on that girl. She's an athlete. I remember you.
I
Former
have to keep my
athlete.
computer off because I have to feed my toddler. So,
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Really good to see you,
Yeah.
sweetie. Yeah, you do
yeah,
it. Go. Hi, Rosa. I have someone with a phone number 917. They're all hopping on. We got more ladies hopping on. Let's go. Building the vibe. Yes, we're all going to do this together. And okay, so 6:01, we can wait a few more minutes before everyone hops on, but you're all here to learn about how hormones affect, our weight, our mood, and our sleep, and how to understand the game to play to win. And the real winner is being into optimal health. And the reason why we're doing these calls is because we find that a lot of women, this is probably you as well, you're in perimenopause,
We may
menopause,
not be able
postmenopause, and
to
you're like,
accommodate all carry-on baggage costs. Air Canada,
we,
Flight 10.
Somebody,
oh,
somebody's
thanks, Bella. She knows. Yeah. She's on her way traveling. Yeah. So getting back to the hormones and perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, it's not you, it's actually the hormones. And when we understand how the hormones play, we play to win. And so we're going to talk primarily about three major players that we're going to share how they directly affect weight, mood, and sleep. So you have a better understanding of it's not you, it's the hormones, and then how to balance them, and then some action steps moving forward. So you can actually start shifting today. Because listen, we need to take action. You can hear stuff all day long. Who cares? Whatever. It's taking action, the right action at the right time.
And if you have questions, we'll have some time at the end, loads of time at the end to
And also questions can be asked right away. We have a chat line.
chat.
Yeah, and so we have a chat line. Everyone's going to be muted so that we can go through the presentation. And there's never a silly question. Seriously, this is what we always tell our clients. Ask away, because I even have a website, Ask Michelle, because there's never a silly question. If you have it, others are going to have it. I can answer it for you, and everyone's going to benefit. Deal? Yes?
Yep, her.
Okay. So let's get started, shall we? It's 6:03. The latecomers will just have to miss the first piece. Okay. So on the screen, we are going to be sharing our presentation. And this is all about how to take control of your weight, sleep, and mood. We're going to feature three hormones using the ICE model. Okay. And this, at the end of it, you're going to finally understand why your bodies change and how to lose weight without any extremes. This is not even about dieting. It's about pure nutrition and lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what our topic is for today. But before I get started with today's topic, this is a three-part series. So I'm actually going to
Do a little review.
just a quick little review and summary that I like to do, get you caught up if you weren't on the first call and you're on this one. We're just going to do a quick little review. So the first one webinar we had in this three-part Meno series is why diets stop working after 40 and what to do instead, because they do. And if you're also, you're on this call because you're likely, over 40, you've tried everything. You're going back to things you tried before, they're not working. The scale goes up and down and up and down and up and down, even though you're doing your best to try it. And you're exhausted trying to figure it out. And perhaps your sleep is a mess. And you're wondering, oh my gosh, is this how it's going to be now? No, it's not. It's just that we need to do some shifting, okay? And so what we talked about last time was, I have to say, the number one mindset mistake most women over 40 get stuck in this start, stop is because they feel like they have to just push harder when actually they just need to think smarter and have a strategy. So it's not you, it's the strategy. All right. I know you're trying. And so the other piece to this is we talked about just getting the example that we had, Maria, my goodness. So when she started learning the hormone piece and playing to win, she tried everything before, honestly. If you were on the semi-glutide, keto, fasting, shakes, this roller coaster ride, as soon as we put her on the program, we gave her what she needed to do. She dropped 31 pounds. Her husband dropped 60 pounds. So together they actually dropped 100 pounds together. And he wasn't even on the program. She was just cooking and he was able to lose weight. Why? Because you're cooking healthy whole foods that are going to balance the hormones for everything to work. So that's why. So there are some hope for you. There's some hope for you. Yeah. So again, the biggest learning point that we went through the last time was why your old go-to diets stop working over 40. Okay. Because your body's changed. So you need to change the strategy. Then the second learning point that we went through was the 4 big hormone shifts that were slowing metabolism and increasing belly fat. We do need to unpack estrogen. Okay, that's a big player when it comes to women and progesterone. If they're reaching that 40 mark, listen, your estrogen and progesterone are just like up and down and up and down and up. It's very erratic. And so probably are your moods and your weight because of the hormones that are happening. And then once you hit menopause, it's flatlined. So yes, there's going to be a big shift in how you feel and what you need to do. Because estrogen really is your superhero. It is. When you have estrogen in your favor and you're menstruating, you're having regular cycles, which means you're getting enough estrogen in your body is naturally able to balance blood sugar better and keep inflammation down. But if it's all over the place, that's all changing. And so if your blood sugar is going to go up and down, so is your weight, so is your mood, and so is your sleep. So we need to make sure that we balance the estrogen when you're in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Okay, we really need to pay attention to that. And then cortisol often, my goodness, with everything that we're juggling, that's going to be dysregulated and it leads to midsection weight gain. Yes. And then insulin's the heavy hitter. Insulin, and when that's raised for too long and too high, that's direct storage. It's a storage hormone. So you have to understand that's its role. So when you understand those 3 hormones and how to play to win, then you win. Okay. So we unpack them. And I don't know if we need to go through any more here. I'd have to say the biggest mindset mistake most women over 40 make is they feel they just need to push harder when really they need to just have the right strategy. So, okay, that's the thing. You're not broken. It's the strategy. That's the one I want you to leave with. All right. So getting into today's topic, which we're going to get into now. That was just a bit of a summary. So again, how to take control of your weight, sleep, and mood, featuring those 3 hormones that I was just talking about. Now, at the very end of this training, you're going to learn these 4 things. What are they? That these hormones that we're going to talk about follow a certain hierarchy. Okay, which ones do we tackle first and how do we do that? And then we're going to talk about the model explained, the ICE model explained, and then how these hormones directly shape your weight, sleep, and mood, and then what to do next, which is action steps. So why does this matter? Because again, they directly contribute to your moods, okay? It's not your character. It may be your character, but it's mostly the hormones, all right? It's not in your head. No, it's the hormones, okay? Cravings, it's not willpower. No, it's the hormones, all right? Sleep issues, you think it's your character. No, it's a lot of it has to do with the hormones, all right? And so why this matters is what's happening to you right now is hormonal driven, not character driven, all right? So there, that's that one piece there. So how tonight's going to work is it'll be around 45 minutes to 60 minutes total. You can ask questions along the way because when you have them, put them in the chat. And at the very end, I'm going to open up the line to asking them or answering them that are in the chat. This is your chance, okay, to ask the questions to get real answers. And again, this is education, not medical advice. I am a clinical practitioner, right? But I'm not a doctor. I'm a clinical nutritionist an intercellular detox specialist. I'm like a natural health care provider, but I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a holistic practitioner. All right. So yes, there will be a replay so you can watch it after. If you had to leave early or if I spoke too quickly and I threw a lot at you and you're like, oh my God, I need to listen to that again. That happens a lot because I just go through things pretty quickly. And sometimes you don't want to miss it, right? So you just go right back. At the end of this, you will be invited to our next webinar, which is the third piece of this 3-part webinar. And the last one is January 5th. So put that in your calendar, 6 p.m. EST, January 5th. Yeah, the new year, right? We're going to pull everything together. And also talk about some missing pieces that you may have that we pulled together so that now you've got a full understanding. Okay, now I've got it. I've got it for the new year, 2026. I'm going to conquer and reach my goals. And then if you feel like you need to be part of a group and to do this with a group, the actual action steps, well, we have you covered too, because we actually pulled together a 5-day, short, but you get it all done, right? 5-day Meno reset challenge. So every day there's a training and an action step. Next day, next day, next day. 1 hour a day for 5 days. Build the momentum, get the action steps, leave with, yes, I'm ready. I am good. So, and you'll be able to do that with other women as well. So it's really, really, really powerful. So we'll send you the link if you're looking to register for that. We can do that. The other piece is we do have programs in our Fit and Healthy Forever. These are one-on-one with group. And so if you are interested in what more one-on-one, right? Where you have a health condition, you need more accountability, you want to do deeper dives, you actually want to learn a lot about your body, what it's doing and how to move ahead. Well, feel free to use $100 gift certificate towards any of our Fit and Healthy Forever programs. We'll take that amount off the program so that you can give you that little bit of a gift. Because Reese and I like to do giveaways, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. Okay, a little bit about us and then we're going to get into it. So you have to why would you trust us? Who are we? And who are these two people standing in front of us? You may have looked at my Instagram, my social media, all that kind of stuff, but truly, my name is Michelle. This is Reese. And for myself, and then you can share yourself.
Sure.
I've been in the game first of all, I had to heal myself. That's how I even got started, was I starved myself to lose weight. Why? Because I wanted to be liked. I did. And I didn't want to be ostracized. And I like people. And I thought, okay, well, if I look a certain way, then, maybe I'll have more friends. And so I didn't know how to do it, but starve myself. Well, I also developed a disease alongside of that, which is osteoporosis. I was able to lose weight, but I also lost my bone mass. It got really bad. I had an eating disorder. I was afraid of eating because I thought I'd gain weight. And so I also developed osteoporosis along the way. And that's when it really hit home going, oh my, I better change because listen, even my bones are breaking down. This is not good. My hair was falling out. I was super tired. I was lost. And I'm like, I got to figure this out. Medicine said, take drugs. And I said, that's not going to solve it in my head. I'm like, no, it's nutrition. I'm going to start with that. So after scouring through, learning about the body and what it truly needs, I was able to reverse my own condition. And not only that, I was thinking about it today. I reversed my own mental issue with food. I was afraid of eating food, right? That's a big thing. How I was able to overcome this was being logical, learning about how our hormones work, how to eat to balance the hormones logically, to then be okay with trusting food, to then see the result of that. Well, I was able to do it because no more starving, no more depriving. I was able to release the weight and be fit and healthy by eating. And so because I was able to do that, I thought, oh my gosh, there'll be so many other women that need this information too, because they don't know it. And I didn't know it, but now I do. And so I'm sharing this with you. And that's 25 years as doing that. So, and yourself?
And for myself, it says 42 years there. It's closer to 45 years now. I started off as a young little squirt around 13 years old and found a book on natural health and how the body worked actually is what it was about. And I read through that book and I was fascinated on all the things that the body did, all the things that organs in the body did at a pretty young age. And so then from there, I started to read more in-depth books, kinesiology books, Grey's Anatomy and so forth, not the TV show. And yeah, started to go from there and learn more and more and more, got into lifting weights, So I've been training for 58 years now. I'm 72, lifting for 58 years. And then got into the business of helping people with getting their life in order as far as exercise is concerned. So I've made up tens of thousands, literally thousands and thousands and thousands of programs for people over the years. And then from there, got into supplement formulation, health and wellness, um, educating people across North America as well as, and then got into helping out with online coaching with Michelle.
Well, yeah, we decided to do husband and wife because he's so talented. And then I thought, well, let's combine our talents. And then we have a third coach, Jen, which is the day-to-day coach. So
Amazing.
we really wanted to create a world-class product, and we did. And so we're very, very proud of it. We've been, so 25 years doing this. And what we decided to do is I really want to help these women because they don't get the right information. And so women over 40, okay?
Yeah.
So that's us. And we have helped a lot of women, okay? And not just weight, but really it's saving gallbladders, it's saving uteruses from surgery. They don't need it. It's finding out the root cause why they even had, a gallbladder issue, why they had a surgery issue. It's not because it's a gallbladder thing, it's something going on underlying that we fix so that they could save the gallbladder, which is actually a really good thing. Lots of health conditions we've worked with to reverse asthma, allergies, arthritis. Listen, it's all the root cause. There's one root cause that basically is like a tree that shows up as allergies for some, asthma is another, and arthritis for another. But really the root cause is things like the gut. Fix the gut, fix those things, okay? And get clients off multiple medications. So if you're someone who's on medication, you're like, oh my God, they keep adding more medications and there's side effects and I'm getting more tired and I'm not even getting better. Well, we really help a lot with skimming off these medications, working with doctors, of course, very safe. And so you can get off the medications, some of them, and then get the health up. So those are the things that we do. We focus on hormone smart nutrition, right type of exercise, and real programs for real life. That's the thing, right? So that's enough about us. I do want to give you a little bit of hope before I get into the strategy. Just as an example, Carolee. So she's 61. So again, this is for women over 40. We see a lot of clients that are 50, 60. So Carolee was 61. And just to give you some hope, she came to us and she had breast cancer, right? So she was a breast cancer recovery, 2018. So she had an immune issue going on, right? Liver issue going on, breast cancer. And she was suffering from immune issues at a very young age. Remember, cancer shows up about 20 years later. So that's the thing, is it doesn't just suddenly happen. It's been simmering for a number of years. And so she's had immune issues since they were young. And she had a history of yo-yo dieting because she also wanted to lose weight. She was overweight. She tried everything, Weight Watchers, Herbalife, HCG, everything else. Like, honestly.
Other coaching?
Oh yeah, everything. She said, I tried this, that. And I asked her, like, why don't you think it works? She goes, well, nothing worked because I felt they lacked the knowledge and the time spent with me. And she was on multiple medications. So anyways, learning about her hormones, how to eat hormone smart, she was able to release, she went from 195 to 169 and went off all her pain medications. Here's the thing, she did it the healthy way and not the adding more medication. No, the healthy way. We fixed the root cause and now she's happy for it. And she's able to be fit and healthy forever. So, there's hope for you, okay? So I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm just going to share the problem that most women make when looking to release the weight, improve their mood, and get their sleep on point is they treat more of the symptoms than they do actually what's driving it. Hormonal symptoms like, mood swings. What do I do with that? Oh, there's a pill for that. Acne. Oh, what's happening there? Oh, maybe there's a cream for that. Sleep problems. Oh, I can take something to help me sleep. But really, why do you need something to help you sleep? That's the key here. That's the whole thing is vaginal dryness, like all these symptoms, night sweats. It's not a pill problem. It's a root cause problem. The body is asking for help and is giving you these signs and symptoms saying, I need some help here. It's like the body is talking to you. And so I feel like I'm the body whisperer going, oh, here's what the body's saying. Okay, so let's listen to the body, fix the body so that you don't see those signs and symptoms anymore. They just go away. Like with Carolee, the pain went away. Didn't need the pain medication. There was something happening in her body that was driving the pain. Find the root cause, pain goes away. And some clients take longer than others, but listen, you're on the way to release, to help the body get healthy. Okay. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a couple months. It doesn't matter. You're unblocking the body's own healing response. That's the goal here. We're not blocking the body with medication. We're unblocking the body to heal itself. We're giving it the right tools. And here we think another problem women make. Hey, I'll just change my food. It must just be my food. It's not just your food. It's part of your, yes, that's a low-hanging fruit. But guess what? There's other things too. Yeah, what to eat, but when to eat. When to eat matters. It so matters. If you're not hungry, we don't need to eat. We're eating for other reasons. Or you think you're supposed to eat because you saw that on Instagram. No, it's you listen to what the body's saying. If it doesn't need food, we don't give it food. And it's not going to trash your metabolism. In fact, it's going to help your metabolism because it helps your gut. So meal times matter, what you're eating, but not only just that, sleep matters. We're going to go through why that matters when it comes to weight loss. And I don't know why it's not out there enough, but honestly, fat loss is sleep dependent, right? But again, that's got to do with hormones. We're going to walk you through that. And then exercise. It's not just about your diet. No, fix the diet, fix everything. No, diet is a part, but also the right type of exercise and when to exercise. We're not going to want to exercise at 7 p.m. at night. That's going to wake you up and you won't sleep and then you won't recover. How are you supposed to, right? It's like there's timing for everything. Why? Because we work on clocks. It's a circadian rhythm. When you learn what the body needs at the right time, you work with the body instead of against it. That's why this works so easy. There's no more starving, no more depriving, no more knuckle fisting. No, you're working with your body. And that's the magic of learning about your hormones. Okay. And it's really, 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 really amazing. It really is. We get to see freaking magic happen. It's amazing. Women get their life back. The other problem that most women make is they feel like, oh, it must be me. I just have to work on the diet better. I have to be more strict. I need to train harder. It's me. I just need to stick with it better. How many times have you heard that?
Eat less and train more. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, I'm 40, I'm 50. I know the diet that I worked when I was 20. I'm going to go back to that. And then they go back to it. This may sound like you. It's not working the same. Why? Oh, because I just need to stick to it harder.
Yeah.
I've heard that so many times. That's a myth. That's not true. It's not true. It's working smarter than harder. It's knowing the hormones and how to work with those. Okay. Truly it is. It's not you. It's the strategy. It's the strategy. And so that's why we're going to go through the ICE, the 3 hormones that are the heaviest hitters, okay, that you're going to learn about today. It's very, very exciting. And I'm just going to look to see here if there's any questions so far.
Yep.
Are you enjoying this? Is this making sense so far? Thumbs up? Yes? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm so glad. This is teaching the real stories. Okay, the real thing. Okay, great. Let's get back to it. Okay, good. Yeah, let's get back to it. Yeah. So stop share and go here and go here. Okay. Right.
You got her.
Yeah, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I've done a lot of these trainings. Okay. So let's introduce these 3 heavy hitters. And we introduced the ICE model. What is the ICE model? Okay. Insulin, right? Cortisol and estrogen. You really got to know these 3 hormones. Okay. They have the biggest effect on what we're talking about. So what is insulin? Let's start with that one first, okay? Because that's the I in the ICE. So insulin is a hormone that is released from the pancreas. And what it does is it's the heaviest hitter to control blood sugar. Anytime you eat, insulin raises from the pancreas goes, oh, there's food coming in. Let's bring in insulin. Insulin gets released from the pancreas to bring the blood sugar back into balance, okay? Depending on your food, it could be raised really quickly. It could be raised for a long time. It could be raised just a little bit. But just so you know, it is a storage hormone. It stores energy. It stores energy in the form of glucose in the cells, okay? It also regulates cravings. It also signals fat storage, right? Nutrient storage, but also fat storage, right? And it's directly influenced by its partner, cortisol. Yeah, which we're going to get into next. So that's the C in ICE. Now, when we look at cortisol, What is cortisol? It's a hormone that is released from the adrenal glands. Yes. And you may have heard of the HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It starts with the hypothalamus, then it talks to the pituitary, and the pituitary sends a message, ACTH, talks to the outer part of the adrenals. It's like an orange. The adrenal glands are two little glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they have an outer and an inner. An outer laying is like the orange peel, the orange outside, right? That's the adrenal cortex is what makes the cortisol. So that gets released anytime the body needs quick energy. It's a very powerful hormone, okay? And it gets, the response is from stress. If you're stressed, it's going to be activated, all right? And what does it do? It's one of its main roles is to energy metabolism. So it needs to give you that quick energy to be able to handle that stress right away. Okay, so it's going to also it's also going to have a response with glucose. It's going to have an effect on glucose. So we have insulin affecting glucose. We have cortisol affecting glucose. That's your blood sugar. Okay, and remember, for you to have good weight, mood, and stress, got to balance that blood sugar. That's like super, super key. Okay. And just so you know, cortisol, if it's elevated for too long, chronic cortisol, chronic stress, not just short bits, chronically, then what does that lead to? Insulin resistance. What does that lead to? The inability to lose weight. And then if that goes on, now you're in diabetes type 2. And then if you go into diabetes type 3, that's when you start losing your brain. Okay. The brain is starving, right? So we don't want to get to that point because you're learning about the hormones and how to work with them to be able to get optimal health, right? So another thing with cortisol, because it's to do with fight or flight, it's got to do with stress, it's going to alter your sleep patterns. Why am I up in the middle of the night? Why can't I get to sleep? Why am I keep getting up? Cortisol. Yes. Very, very, very important. We're going to unpack that. And then we have the E. E is the estrogen. Oh my gosh, so key. This is, I think, one of the missing pieces. When you are okay, you're menstruating women, you have estrogen in your favor. What does it do? It allows you to have balanced blood sugar. Yes, it allows you to lower inflammation. So you don't have all those chronic diseases. You're like a superhero. But what happens is when you're in perimenopause, estrogen up and down, up and down, up and down. Menopause, no, your adrenals have to make estrogen. Yeah, but it's a little bit. It's not even a lot. Now you're wondering what happened after menopause. You don't have estrogen in your favor. Now you really got to tighten in that blood sugar. You really need to tighten in the inflammation. You do, because you don't have estrogen in your favor. So today we're going to talk about how to actually naturally increase your estrogen so you have that and so that you can win the game, even in menopause. Okay. So what it does is it's going to also support your sleep because it works with progesterone. Remember, estrogen and progesterone, they work in tandem, right? It's going to affect fat storage. So yeah, we're going to talk about, so when you don't have estrogen in your favor, estrogen directs where the fat's being stored. And we're going to talk about that. Okay, you're wondering, why am I storing the fat in midsection? Well, because you don't have the estrogen that's in your favor. And we're going to unpack what that means. It's a real hormonal thing, okay? And so, yeah, anything you want to add to that, hon?
No, I like that. That's really,
Okay.
it's really good.
Concise.
We're coming
Yeah.
along nicely. There's some things with the cortisol that I think are important. You know, if estrogen is produced by the adrenal glands after we stop producing it in menopause, then what happens if the adrenals are compromised
Yeah.
because we're under stress too long? But we'll get into that piece a little bit later.
Exactly. That's why self-care. Oh, that's a key point. Okay. When you're in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, no, we're used to taking care of everybody, and that's okay. When you've got estrogen in your favor, you're like a superhero. You can do those things, okay? Because you, again, you actually are able to have optimal health. But what happens is after the ovaries shut their doors and the adrenals take over to make estrogen, they also have to make your adrenal hormones as well. So you've got two that it's making. So that's where self-care really comes in. That's the time you want to double down on self-care, stress management. It's not selfish. No way. You've given to you've given to everybody all those years. It's time for you. You have permission for that. It's doubling down on self-care because again, hormonally, you need to.
So this is why women who come to us to become clients and they've been told just eat less. That's a form of stress. And
Mhm.
they're also told at the same time, exercise more. And if you don't, you're lazy. And that's a form of stress. So those are two stressors that we need to modulate. We need to balance those properly. That doesn't mean that if you've been exercising at a high level as an athlete or somebody that can manage a high volume of exercise, that you have to reduce it. But we do need to take a look at that as a piece of, are we stressing ourselves too much? Or are we just actually bringing ourselves into better shape? So it's about balancing that.
I love that. That's so good. Very good. Okay, so now that we went through insulin, cortisol, estrogen, let's get into cortisol, the first domino. Let's talk about signs. How do I know if it's elevated, right? Because I said, hey, you know what? Acute cortisol response actually is in your favor because it does burn fat, but chronically, it does the opposite. Okay, we don't want chronic stress. So how do we know if you're chronically stressed? Well, if you're wired but tired, like I feel like I got my finger in a socket, right? Your nerves are wired, but you're tired, right? Poor sleep.
Mhm.
Afternoon crash, the 3 o'clock crash, listen, for sure, cortisol. Craving salt and sugar. So salt, anytime I say, hey, what foods do you crave? If I hear potato chips, I already know, because no, it's science, okay? Potato chips, the crunch and the salt, you're stressed. You're, That's why you want the potato chips and salt to help you manage the stress as well. And sugar, of course, like I just want to lift because I'm tired, right? Because if you have chronic cortisol, you tend to be tired. Okay, well, give me that sugar. It's going to give me that lift. Okay, it's a sign that your cortisol.
The adrenals work with the kidneys to balance salt, but we need the proper amount and the right type of salt as well.
Yes, very important because we want salt. We want the right type of salt. Yeah. And avoid okay. The other thing is if you're feeling inflamed or puffy, because that's inflammation and that's cortisol. But also you've seen the crushing or what is it, the moon phase crushing syndrome? Cushing syndrome. That's when you're totally tanked. And you'll see that the face inflames, you've got the big bump on the back, right? The downer, what do you call that, Reese?
They call it a buffalo hump.
Yeah, yeah, and you're just completely trash. We don't want to get to that point, but they're really, really puffy. So anyways, also, if you notice that you have your weight is distributing, the extra fat is around the midsection. That's called a cortisol belly. So we know that if that's accumulating, you've got some chronic cortisol going on. Brain fog, can't think properly. Rapid aging, oh yeah. Why? Because it breaks things down. It's breaking down your collagen and your skin. And that's why it's like, oh, I need to get injections because I look like I'm getting old. No, we need to manage the stress. We need to keep the cortisol managed. We want it up in the morning, but then slowly go down as melatonin goes up.
Yeah.
That's how we work with our hormones so that you can have that good sleep at night. Okay. Also, if you have low libido, yeah, where's the energy to even want to, be with your partner? And that's, yeah, but all that can be turned around. Not only that, if you have a hard time building muscle, even though you're at the gym, you're muscle wasting because the cortisol breaks the muscle down into amino acids for a reason. We'll talk about how that actually works. And I think we went through these, huh?
Yeah, we didn't talk about depression or anxiety, but those are kind of two symptoms of high cortisol. Depression's where we're worried about the past and we're focused on that, which doesn't make any sense, but it's done. And anxiety is where we're focused on the future, something that hasn't happened yet, but we feel is going to happen. So the solution for that is to be present. It's easier said than done, but we have solutions for that as well.
Yeah, because if you're always stressed all the time, you're not present. You have brain inflammation too, and it's making you not present. So all these things, if you'll see here, it all links together. Okay, but we're going to pull the pieces together so you have action steps. All right, so this is very interesting. How does cortisol affect weight gain? Well, it influences where the fat gets stored. Okay, so chronic cortisol is going to store it in the midsection. What it does, it's interesting, cortisol. What it's going to do is it will actually go after the subcutaneous fat in the extremities, right? and it will actually burn, it will actually transport. Yeah, it's okay. It will transport. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay, let's get back to that. How does cortisol affect weight gain around the midsection? Here's what it really does. It will actually, if it's elevated for too long, it will actually burn your subcutaneous fat around your arms and your legs. They become smaller and it redistributes that fat as fatty acids into the visceral cavity, the midsection, maybe back fat. That's cortisol, just so you know. The midsection. And what it does is it starts to accumulate the fatty liver. You've heard of that. Maybe you have that. But you've got that big belly. Okay, that's cortisol. And so it does that. But it also, what it does is it also signals to the liver to cortisol's up, it signals to the liver, oh, we need to make more energy. Okay, liver, make glucose. It makes sugar. Liver makes sugar through glucose. Gluconeurogenesis means the making of new glucose, which is sugar. Okay, it will actually go after the liver to do that. And when that happens, you've also, when cortisol is up for too long, when blood sugar goes up, what happens? Well, insulin comes up, right? Because anytime blood sugar goes up, insulin comes up. Now, if that happens too long, now you have insulin resistance, okay? And so that means you have a high blood glucose, insulin's up, but then it's been happening for so long that the cells go, I'm so tired of you putting that sugar into, I'm going to resist that. And so now you have a high glucose and you have insulin resistance, okay? And then on top of all this, this is like the perfect storm. On top of all this, when you have cortisol going up for too long, you're muscle wasting. You're not only burning the fat, but you're actually burning your muscle. Why does it do that? It breaks down the muscle into amino acids as a precursor to make sugar out of it from the liver. That is a disaster waiting to happen. Okay. And hopefully that's made sense, but really that's really what happens. And I don't know if you know, you've seen women out there walking along the street. They look like a barrel. They have all the weight in the midsection, but their arms and legs are skinny. I know some women like that. But that's all cortisol. Okay. And an interesting thing is here we're talking about metabolic syndrome, but also the brain. Here's what happens. If you have cortisol raised for too long, chronic cortisol, stress out of hand, then it actually affects the brain. And what happens is it starts to dysregulate how you even think. And it starts to, you have an amygdala here, which is the child, we call it the child, and we have a prefrontal cortex. The amygdala gets fired more than the prefrontal cortex. And what does it do? The child, I want sugar, I want sugar, I crave, I crave, I crave. Yeah, it's the cortisol. Honestly, it does that. And this was actually published in a New England or PubMed, and it was Chow 2017. There was this. They studied this women population for 6 months, and what they did was they looked at chronic They put them on. They tested their cortisol. The ones that were chronically elevated over a long period of time, they were the ones that had a lot of weight gain because of the cravings. Okay. So that was published study, and that was interesting. So we think it's just a metabolic thing. It's actually, it adjusts the brain too. All right. So you wonder, why do I have cravings? Because the cortisol. And not only that, it's going to disrupt your sleep.
Yeah.
Yes. And that leads to a vicious cycle. It really does. Listen, fat loss is sleep dependent. We've got to get that sleep dialed in. All right. And so what happens is, when it's not dialed in, long-term studies, just so you know, directly links to fat gain. If you look here, there was a Wisconsin sleep cohort found short sleepers. Okay, how much sleep do we need? 7 hours or more. That's okay. 7, 9. I want to see you at 9. I do, because you're female and hopefully you're exercising. That's a 9, but at least over 7 hours. Okay, so short sleepers, that's below 7 hours, gain more weight over 6 years. A meta-analysis linked 1 hour less sleep to 3-pound weight gain. So listen, it's directly tied. All right. And there was also a Mayo Clinic study that showed lack of sleep. That means 6 hours or less, plus free food access It's like you can have food whenever you want. Increase total abdominal fat. That's the midsection fat. That's the belly fat we want to get rid of by 9%. And visceral fat. That's the deep fat. That's the organ fat. That's the liver fat, the heart fat, the pancreas fat by 11%. So listen, it's completely tied. All right. So just really, really know that we got to dial in the sleep. Want to add to any of that, or can I go on?
No, I think you can go on.
Okay, so we really unpacked cortisol, didn't we? We did a pretty good job. Does anyone here have any questions so far on cortisol, and is this making sense to you? I think there is a big debate on bioidentical hormones. What's your opinion, Maria?
Get into
And
that.
how do I reduce my cortisol? We're going to definitely get into the how do I reduce the cortisol. Big debate on bioidentical hormones. What's your opinion? Very important. Okay. And so we were afraid of these bioidentical hormones for so long because there was that one study, but they used synthetic estrogen, right? It wasn't even the bioidentical type. So it was showing that it was completely tied to heart attacks. So it's like, no hormones, blah, blah, blah. But then what they revisited and went, wait a minute, the study was flawed. They were using the wrong type, right? And so then when we started to look at it further, then we looked at it like, okay, no, it's valid. Our estrogen's tanking, progesterone might be tanking, and testosterone might be tanking. Well, we need to add these in compound pharmacy, not regular pharmacy, compounded to your body, and then manage it along the way to make sure that it's titrated properly. But that is a higher hanging fruit. I need you ladies to go low hanging fruit first, or in addition to, because here we are, we're chasing the hormones when really, how's your diet? How's your sleep? How's your lifestyle? How's your self-care? I don't care if you have exogenous hormones or not, but if you're not handling the low hanging fruit, you won't get your result. You won't. And you'll be struggling forever. So yes, there is, but let's also get the low hanging fruit done first, which is the diet, the movement, and the lifestyle. Let's get that in place. So that's my opinion there. And make sure when you work with somebody that it's that first of all, they're testing you all the way, especially in the beginning, because they're putting exogenous hormones into your body. It's not like a pellet every 6 months. We don't agree with that. It's like one pellet every 6 months. No, that's not the way to go. We want it to be compounded from a compound pharmacy, tested along the way. And how do you feel? Isn't that the biggest thing? How do you feel when you're on that? You should feel more energy, better libido, skin starts to feel more hydrated. You're able to build more muscle, all those things. These are the direct effect of it working properly. And then just keep testing along the way. So yes, that's my opinion there. Okay. How do I reduce cortisol? We're going to get into that. And you ladies can ask as many questions as you want. I'm going to get back into the training. And they're great questions, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go here and go here. Yeah. All right. So we talked about cortisol, we talked about sleep. Now we're going to talk about insulin, one of my favorite hormones, actually. And so we call it the middle manager. And so we want to understand insulin. We talked about it's a hormone released from the pancreas anytime you eat, right? And if you know that it's dysregulated. You know that it's dysregulated if you get blood work done. Blood doesn't lie. And on your blood work panel, okay, you got to fight for getting the insulin tested. They only test glucose. Why do they only test glucose? We need to test insulin as well as glucose, because by the time glucose is over 100, which we see, insulin's been up for so long that if we tested insulin first and we noticed that it was raising, we already knew we had a blood sugar issue. All right. So long before it showed up as glucose. So here's the thing. Remember, insulin is raised to bring glucose down. So over time, if you haven't fixed it, it's up and it's up, and now you have diabetes type 2. To prevent diabetes type 2, we need to look at insulin and we need to look at glucose. So when you're at your doctor and you're asking for blood work, I like to get my insulin tested as well as my blood glucose. Okay, that's very, very important. So you're going to want to get your fasting insulin tested. You want to get your hemoglobin A1C. They already test for that, so you don't really have to ask for that. fasting glucose on top of fasting insulin, and then you're going to want to look at your triglyceride to HDL ratio. Those are all really important. So on your blood test, look for those markers. And when it comes to fasting insulin, you want it below 5, just so you know. You want the marker to be between 1 and 5, not over 5. If it's over 5, that means it's been working hard for so long trying to bring glucose down. If you don't fix that, you're going to run into a diabetes type 2 situation, okay? So we want that. Hemoglobin A1C, you want it below 5.1, okay? Fasting glucose, you want it below 100 on your test, right? And then triglyceride to HDL ratio, you want it below a 2. Physical signs that your insulin is dysregulated is your body fat is over 24%. You want your body fat to be between 21 and 24%. How do you know? We don't just look at scale weight. We get one of those little things that they don't cost very much. They're called a body composition scale. You order it to your door. They're probably $20 right now on a sale. And you don't look at total weight. No, you look at what is the weight made of. And one of the things that's really important is body fat percent. Okay, that's very important. You want it between 21 and 24%. Maybe you're writing this down, but it's really important. If it's more than that, then you've got an insulin issue, okay? Because you have a blood sugar issue. Skin tags. If you have skin tags, you're insulin resistant. That's a sign of an insulin issue. Patchy skin, the dark patches underneath your armpits, your groin, and those areas that are covered, right? That's a sign of insulin resistance. It's not because you have, I don't know, anything. I've heard of other things but no, it's insulin resistant. You have an insulin issue. Insulin is a storage hormone. Your blood sugar's off, okay? Frequent urination, of course, because that's got to do with the kidneys and how they hold on to the glucose. Leg numbness, yeah, because if you start to lose the sensation in your arms and legs, that means you're leading into neuropathy. And so peripheral neuropathy, peripheral means outside. And so that's a red alert. And then maybe you don't know what these are, but just subjectively, I have low energy, or I'm hungry after eating. Shouldn't be hungry after eating. I have sugar cravings, or I'm constantly thirsty. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's complete.
Okay. So that's when you know you have an insulin issue. All right. So, well, how does insulin affect weight gain and other hormones? Well, what it does is, again, it stresses the hypothalamic pituitary axis, okay? And when that happens, you're increasing cortisol. They work together. Here's kind of how it works. Ready? You eat. Your blood sugar is balanced. See the ideal blood sugar balance. See this screen? I really love this screen here. So you're eating, you're eating. If you have balanced blood sugar, you're good. But if you're going to eat in a way where you're going to spike blood sugar very quickly, you're also going to raise insulin very quickly. And then what happens is then you drop it quickly. Then it goes below threshold. Then what happens is cortisol comes on board. So, oh, we have low glucose. We got to bring the glucose up. So then it brings it up because it's a stress, right? That's a stress.
Mm-hmm.
So cortisol gets activated. Oh, let's bring that up. So then you bring it back up again. Oh, and it's so high that insulin goes, oh, we have high blood sugar again. Let's bring that down. So then insulin comes up to brings it down. And it's down too low. Cortisol gets raised. See this like yo-yo? It's because the blood sugar is off. Insulin gets activated, cortisol gets activated. Insulin gets activated, cortisol. And you know what? All this is all correlated mood swings. When blood sugar is high, you're like, woo, this is fun. When blood sugar drops, like, oh my God, I'm tired, I'm moody, no, I'm hangry, right? And then up and down and up and down. And all this leads to depression, sugar cravings, all these things, right? So that's kind of like the vicious cycle here that I want to unpack. So we talked about cortisol, we talked about sleep, we talked about insulin, okay? And now we talk about estrogen, the stabilizer, right? How do we know if estrogen is low or high or if it's off balance? Well, low estrogen symptoms for women, what are they? Brain fog. You want to go through them?
Yeah, brain fog, weight gain, hot flashes, sexual dysfunction, like lack of libido,
Vaginal dryness.
vaginal dryness, breast tenderness, joint pain, urinary incontinence, sleep dysfunction and fatigue. So you're up and down, you can't get to sleep, you can't stay asleep. Skin and hair changes. The hair starts to fall out. The skin's not turning over as frequently, so it loses some of its luster and shine. Irregular periods and decreased libido. We talked a little bit about that, and depression and anxiety. All of those are symptoms of low estrogen. They are symptoms of other things as well. But if you start to have a collection of those, that's an area that you can start to look at as low estrogen.
Yeah. And also weight gain without changing your foods. And here's actually the reason. The biggest reason is because every single cell in your body, I'm going to lower my hand, that's kind of weird. Every single cell in your body has, guess what? Estrogen receptors. Why? Because it's so important for us. And here we are in menopause. What's happened? You have low estrogen. We have to recognize that to be true. We need to get that estrogen back into balance. And we're going to talk about how we're going to, can we go back? Can we go back? Yeah, I'd love to know what you mean by can we go back, but I'll look at that. So we need to get estrogen stabilized again. Okay, so bring it back up. And if you have too much estrogen, we're going to talk about that too. But really, you just want to have enough of it because every single receptor, every single cell in your body needs enough estrogen. That's why there's so many signs and symptoms associated with low estrogen. Okay, right. Okay. So let's get back to that again.
Sure.
Yeah. Really, really important. Yeah. Okay. So, just quickly, yeah, it's a recap. How ICE, that means insulin, cortisol, and estrogen explains your symptoms. The stress that you're having, that means eating too little, not having enough sleep, exercising too much,
freaking out about things that haven't happened.
Yeah.
Concerned about the past that you can't change. There's so many little things. There's good stress, there's eustress, and there's distress, right? If you're having a baby, that's great. If you just bought a new house, that's great. You just got married, that's wonderful. Somebody passes away, that's bad stress. You got in an accident, that's not good, right? Even, I kind of jokingly say, even if you win the lottery, you've got 1,000 new friends, it's stressful,
It is.
right? So the stress increases the cortisol. The cortisol raises insulin, and then estrogen production lowering at the same time creates this optimal storm, if you would, right?
Yeah, because remember when cortisol, so how cortisol relates to insulin is, oh, blood sugar goes down, cortisol comes up, and then insulin comes up. And now you're like, it's a vicious storm. And then you have estrogen, low estrogen. This is like a vicious, this is not a good situation here. And then what happens is the body goes, oh my God, I'm so stressed. I'm just going to hold on to everything. Right. And so it goes into,
if we take a look at the hormonal chart, don't let anybody ever tell you that you need to lower your cholesterol with some medication. Because at the top, there will be some times that you need to, but at the top of the hormonal chart, you have cholesterol. All of your hormones are made from that cholesterol. Then it goes down into the sex hormones, including pregnenolone. But pregnenolone is required to make the rest of the sex hormones, your estrogen, testosterone, and so forth, DHEA. And if your stress is too high, if your cortisol is too high, it takes away that pregnenolone. So you no longer have those functioning sex hormones that you require. Women require testosterone and estrogen and so forth, right? Men require testosterone, estrogen, and so forth. But if you're stressed all the time, it steals that pregnenolone. And once it's stolen that, you can't make those hormones below there, right?
And you're making cortisol. Yeah. And you feel it in your weight, sleep, and everything. Okay, so what are we going to do about this? So we want to balance these hormones, right? What are we going to do? We're going to go from hormonal weight gain, this belly fat, which is cortisol belly, menopausal belly. We're going to move from that to this. Yeah, and you can do it. A lot of our clients do it. How are we going to do that? Number one, instead of like focusing on the stress and cortisol and, oh my God, I have all these things to do. The easiest way to get started actually is to support insulin. That's it. Just support insulin. That's the heaviest hitter because the more that's dysregulated, the more weight you're going to gain. So and it's the easiest way to balance. It's from your diet, honestly. That's the easiest way to keep insulin down is through your diet. And so how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to prioritize protein. You probably have been hearing that maybe on social media, all this protein craze. Well, yeah, for a reason. We want to make sure that protein is your priority. Every time you eat, you want to make sure that you eat enough protein. Because here's the thing, when you eat protein, insulin doesn't really get raised very much. It gets to stay down. That means it's not going to be storing fat, right? And causing insulin resistance over time. It's not, because it's staying low. Protein, fiber, and fat keep insulin down. Yeah, you're eating, but insulin's down. It's not being up. What does raise insulin quickly and for a long period of time? The wrong kind of carbs. Yeah. And so those would be the carbs that don't have the fiber, right? Those would be like the ultra processed carbs. Those would be the carbs that you eat that raise blood sugar very quickly. Insulin comes up. And if you're doing that all day, snacking with all these things, then you just keep raising insulin, you keep storing fat, and you're leading to insulin resistance. So the number one thing you can do to stabilize insulin is to get your eating right. That's the first thing to do, because you're going to eat anyway. Let's eat in a way where we can stabilize, where we can just keep insulin down, okay? Yeah. So when you do, then you're not storing fat, right? But you're building muscle, because protein helps you build muscle. So you're going to make sure that protein is your priority, okay? And then you're going to add fiber. So fiber is from plants. These are the good carbs. So there's good carbs and bad carbs. Bad carbs would be like the simple carbohydrates, the ones without the fiber. The good carbs are the ones with the fiber. And you want to add in a bit of the healthy fats, okay? And so we have recipe books for all this. And so when you do, you're avoiding the blood sugar spikes. Remember, insulin, cortisol. And we also need to avoid snacking. The other piece here is to keep insulin stable. Is remember, every time you eat, insulin has to come in and start to store things. But if you're storing all day, you're going to be storing fat. So you just want to eat 2 or 3 times a day. Forget about the snacking piece, okay? Because that was actually made up by, I believe, I think it was a bodybuilding. I think it was a food company that wanted to sell their food, and they came up with this idea of, hey, let's make snacks. And so and then people started to eat the snacks because they were hyper palatable. But that's when we started to actually gain weight too. And then they came up with this myth. Yeah, eat every 2 hours. If you really know how the body works, no, it doesn't give your gut a chance to digest the food. And you're just raising insulin all day, leading to insulin resistance and fat storage. So we don't want to do the snacking piece. And even one bite of food is still snacking. It's still raising insulin. It's still leading to insulin resistance. So what you want to do is eat, take a break, eat, take a break. So eat 2 to 3 times a day. Okay, so that's the biggest piece. And interestingly enough, this is interesting with these hyper palatable foods. Would you imagine, like if I put 5 potatoes on the table that were cooked, 5 potatoes, 5 full potatoes, do you think that you'd be able to eat 5 full potatoes in 30 minutes or less? 5 cooked full potatoes in 30 minutes left. Do you think you can do that?
But you wouldn't have any challenge going through a family size
So
bag of Lay's potato chips.
yeah,
right?
A family size Lay's potato bag has 5 whole potatoes in them, but they're in this type of format. So do you think that you can eat a family size Lay's potato chips? Probably. So do you see the difference between like whole food and snacking food? Like one's going to lead to, you can't even, if you start eating whole foods, you're not going to be snacking all day. But also it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
The amount of calories that would be,
Amount of oils,
yeah,
really.
yeah. Yeah, they know how to trick us, that's for sure. But just so you know, yeah. So we need to shift from stress, low calorie mindset to nutrient rich and satiating foods, okay? Eating 2 to 3 times a day. So that's the first piece. The other piece is how else are we going to stabilize insulin so we don't get fat and dysregulate our mood and dysregulate our sleep? Fermented foods. Yeah. So kimchi in particular and apple cider vinegar. Yeah. Those are 2 foods that actually have been shown when you're eating them alongside a starchy meal, that it actually helps to lower blood glucose and doesn't elevate it. So I know once I heard that, I'm like, okay, I pour apple cider vinegar and it's 1 tablespoon, by the way. The dose matters. 1 tablespoon. So I actually put a tablespoon in my meals. And it's going to help to balance my blood sugar while I'm eating. And then kimchi, I have it just before I eat. So something you may want to employ. We want to eat that, but we don't want to. You want to talk about that?
We don't want to eat in plastics, and plastics are everywhere now. They're in the air that we breathe. They're in the water that we drink in many cases if it's not filtered. It's on our clothes. It's everywhere. So chemicals like BPA, we've heard of BPA, but there's other ones. Oops. There's chemicals like BPA, but there's other ones, BPS, BPH. There's like a number of different BPs, bisphenols, but they disrupt hormone balance. So
Sorry.
that's okay. They mimic estrogens in the body. They mimic estrogens in the body. So they go into the body looking like estrogen. They go into the estrogen receptors that Michelle was talking about, and they're much stronger as an estrogen force than our natural estrogens or estrogens that would come from foods like flax or something like that, right? So those are directly linked to insulin resistance and obesity, raises the risk of type 2 diabetes. They increase inflammation, they affect heart health, and they're everywhere. So they're ending up in placenta, they're ending up in brain, they're ending up in hearts. This is when they open up people after they pass. They're seeing all these pieces of plastic inside them now. So there's a lot of different strategies that we give to our clients to move away from plastics in their world, and also help them to be able to detoxify from those plastics
There's
when the
xenoestrogens.
time comes.
There's xenoestrogens that are that you've heard of estrogen dominance. That's a xenoestrogen piece, and it really does tie into weight gain. So we really want to start to pay attention to how we store our foods. And never drink out of plastic. No plastic water bottles. No, it's either going to be glass, you can see here, or stainless steel, but definitely not plastic, because you're just putting all these xenoestrogens into your body and disrupting your estrogen progesterone balance. So step one, we really did cover insulin, how to balance insulin. Step two is balancing cortisol. So how we're going to do that is we want to make sure that the morning you get the morning sunlight. I know it sounds like, oh yeah, morning sunlight. No, it actually helps to modulate cortisol, okay, and start the beginning of the melatonin production. So you're going outside, you're telling the body what time of day it is. The body goes, oh, I know what time of day it is. Let's raise that cortisol to get all that stuff done that you need to get done. It knows that you're up, that you got up and you have stuff to do. That's what cortisol does. It helps you do stuff. Well, when you get outside, it helps you like recognize how much cortisol to make. And then what happens is it starts the making of the melatonin. It takes 12 hours to make. That way, when you get the morning sunlight, you raise cortisol, but then you're able to have a good deep sleep at night. Okay, that's the key. Also, walking out in nature helps to manage cortisol. Evening shutdown routine helps to lower cortisol and raise melatonin. Having 2 to 3 meals a day, right? And not like 5 or 6, but regular meals where you don't feel like you're starving. And then reducing these long fasting windows. So I've heard clients or prospects or women talk about how they're fasting 24 hours, 16, 18, 36. I'm like, we don't really need to do that. In menopause, I'd say 14 to 16 hours is a really good time frame for fasting to burn the fat, but not really longer than that. And then the feeding windows when you're going to prioritize protein, fiber, and that fat, right? But we don't want to go on these really long fasting windows unless you are prescribed that from a practitioner and they have a certain strategy around that. But really, we don't need to. We just need to feed well and fast well. And for menopausal women, 14, 16 hours.
And just look at it like it's another form of stress. Like not eating for 36 hours is a form of stress, right? You can say, oh, but my body is going to clean out. Yeah, let's get everything else in order before we take a look at that piece, right? For our clients, what we do is we have something called SWIRPs, and it factors in 7 different things. One is sunlight, one is water, one is exercise, one is rest, one is protein. We have self-care and supplementation. We go through that on a regular basis and dial that in for our clients. Each one of those, because there was a question about balancing cortisol, how do I balance my cortisol? Every single one of those balances cortisol. So the light balances our cortisol. The water balances our cortisol. The exercise. These are all in proper form, right? The exercise helps balance our cortisol. The rest, obviously, but it ties into the sunlight so that we can get our rest. It ties into the exercise so that we can get our rest. It ties into the water so that we can get our rest. It ties into the proteins so that we can get our rest. The next piece is self-development. What does that mean? It means
mindset.
It takes time, taking time in your life to take care of yourself, self-care. That can look like journaling. It can look like meditation. It can look like prayer. It could look like reading a book. It can look like taking a bath. It could look like having a quiet time with a candle. Like there's lots of different ways of self-care or self-development. But that is another way of calming down the cortisol signals. And then, of course, there are tools beyond that. Supplements mean in addition to, right? We always start off with the basics, and then if we need to supplement something, we can go to those magic bullets later, but we don't, those are not the high ones that we go after first, right?
Yeah, we want the low hanging fruit for sure. And when you talk about exercise, the right type of exercise,
It's
not
the right
that chronic cardio. We really do need to stop doing that. And we're not exercising to lose weight. We're exercising to build muscle and to get stronger. All right. I call it mental fitness too. But if we're doing exercise that raises cortisol for too long, you're wasting your time. You're actually storing fat because the body goes, oh, I better hang on to that fat. I feel like I'm in survival mode. No, a better way to go about it is the right type of exercise. And for perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause is 100% resistance training because that doesn't raise that cortisol when we do it properly. And what it does is it actually helps to build the muscle so that when you do go to sleep at night and you have that quality sleep, you're burning fat because you have more muscle on your body. Also, muscle is a glucose disposal. The more muscle you have, the more glucose your body puts into the muscle and not fat. So if you love carbs, you got to build muscle to be able to enjoy the carbs because it will soak it up. Okay. That's why they call it the glucose disposal. So all that's going to help with definitely cortisol. So how are we going to support estrogen?
Naturally.
Oh, where were you?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, now we're into estrogen. Okay. These are the really important foods to introduce into your daily diet. They're called phytoestrogen rich food. They mimic estrogen because remember, if you're in menopause and postmenopause, we got to raise this natural estrogen, not the xenoestrogen, not the estrogen mimickers, not the cancer causing estrogen. No, the real ones from plants. This is when plants really shine. Flax seeds are like gold standard for phytoestrogen. They have an estrogenic effect. Again, what does that do? Help you balance blood sugar and lower inflammation, right? That's what the estrogen does for you when you're in menopause and postmenopause. Flax seeds are incredible for that. We have flax seeds regularly. Beans will do that. Nuts will do that. Seeds will do that. Fruits and seeds. So really, we're talking about plants. And color your plate with different colorful plants, but really they all have phytoestrogenic properties. We already talked about sunlight, movement, sleep, stress, and yes, targeted supplements for sure. Listen, I have that tool I use for my clients when I need to. And when it comes to estrogen balance, we definitely need to make sure that the liver is working well to conjugate the estrogen to get rid of the cancer causing estrogen and the xenoestrogens, because that's what the liver does through the stool, right? It will pop it into the stool and you're actually pooping it out. You're removing it. So we want to make sure the liver is healthy. The liver is healthy to be able to do that. I always say cancer can't live in a body with a clean liver. If you do anything, you've got to keep that liver healthy. Really important for hormone balance. And the gut. The gut is super, super important. So when it comes to supporting estrogen, we look at making sure the gut is healthy and the liver is healthy. And of course, there's supplements that are completely tied to that. That will really, really help. Okay. And the other thing that will help is to balance estrogen is the cruciferous vegetables. You see here on this, eat this. These are all the brassica family. What are they? All colored cabbage, green cabbage, red cabbage, yellow cabbage. I don't care what color it is, but cabbages are incredible to help to support estrogen production. Okay. And also cauliflower, all different colored cauliflower. We have purple, we have green, we have yellow. When you see them, try a different color instead of having the same one all the time, because they each have their own phytonutrients, phytoestrogen, phytochemicals. Those are plant compounds that help us be healthy. So I encourage you to try different colors. And then we have the broccoli and the broccoli sprouts. We have Brussels sprouts, we have kale. And like daily, I want you to have these brassica family of foods, because what are you doing? You're supporting estrogen and liver, okay? Really, really important. And what we don't want are the fake estrogens, okay? That's in the plastics, right? So we already went through that, but it's also in your skin, it's also in your skincare. That's the other piece, is we're putting like all this body care stuff on our skin. Our skin is the biggest sponge. It will soak up all those those xenoestrogens and take it systemically. And now we're wondering why are my hormones off? Because you're putting in xenoestrogens from your skincare. So I would be I would look at your skincare and go, can I eat that? Is it safe? And you can write this website down. It's called ewg.org. If ewg.org, they're the watchdogs of all body care. And so what they'll do is if you punch in the skincare that you have, it will tell you if it's safe or not safe. Do you think that you're being, supported by the government with safety? No, you're not. No, it's all money driven. So you got to take it in your own hands. Okay. And that is a fantastic website. They're watchdogs. They are not like government funded. So they're very, what would you call it?
Independent.
Independent. Yeah. Yeah. So
So
I'm,
things that you may not have thought about, like there's a list of them here. I'll just go through a few of them, but receipts. The receipts
Yeah.
have BPA in them. So if you're
Yeah.
holding them or they're in your pocket and they're going into onto your skin, that's going to be affecting your estrogen dominance, right? Um, Air fresheners. So a lot of
Oh,
people in their home either spray an air freshener or they have plug-in air fresheners in their home or in their car, which is even worse. It's in a small little environment. Laundry products is a big one. So your laundry detergent shouldn't really have a smell to it unless it's a natural detergent with um, the natural oils in it.
like a lemon
But
scent.
it shouldn't smell like, I'll just say Febreze. It shouldn't smell like that. Sorry, Febreze. But it shouldn't smell like that. Like sometimes we're walking past homes and it's like, oh,
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
whew, that's crazy. That is a oil coating that is put onto your clothes that keeps the clothes from sticking, right? But that oil is cancer causing, right? So that's not a good thing.
And bounce in the dryer sheets. Please
Yeah,
don't use
dryer
those.
sheets, hair dyes, cosmetics. Nail polish is one that we don't think about often, but when we're taking and we're putting estrogenic compounds onto our nails, they're absorbed. Sometimes they go into our food, sometimes they go into our mouth somehow. Perfume is one we don't think of. Sunscreen is one that we often don't think about. We're putting lathering ourselves or our children or somebody with lots and lots of estrogenic compounds in sunscreens. And then the final one to take a look at is look at your food, look at the labels. There shouldn't be a number of different ingredients in the product. It should be just a couple. An apple is an apple, meat is meat, a veggie is a veggie, right? When you see artificial this and artificial that in your products, those are cancer causing ingredients that are in there. They shouldn't be in there, right?
And over time, it's going to have an effect. Okay.
Yeah, these are things that build up over a period
Yeah.
of time.
Once in a while, don't worry about it. But if
Yeah.
it's like all the time, you do need to. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we talked about estrogen, and just to give you some hope here, we had another client. So you
Yeah.
want to share?
Yeah, this is Siobhan. She's
Yeah.
42. She came to us. She didn't have much weight to lose, but she's a fitness, I'll say a fitness fanatic. She is a fitness trainer, and she was training a number of different classes during the day, like a number of different classes, 5 to 7 classes a day that she was doing on a regular basis all during the week. And so the thing is this was a prime example of overtraining. And so we called it chasing the tiger, right? When you have a tiger chasing you, there's no way that your body will release fuel, which is fat, so that you drop any fat in your body, right? Because the tiger's chasing you. So cortisol is high. We call it the tiger, right? Cortisol is high. So she was tired all the time. She was moody. Anything that we say about a client has been given to us permission, written permission to say. So Her major complaint, I seem to gain weight overnight, plagues my mood, my mind, and confidence, feeling lost with who I am and what to do now. She just started a relatively new relationship and was going to be going to Greece to be with her man over there. And so she wanted to get into prime shape. And so that's what we did for her. But part of it was really focusing on her foods. But the biggest part for her was shifting the type of exercise that she did to get away from how she exercised when she, as she says, when she was in her 20s and she was an Energizer bunny, to how to exercise properly when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on, right? So the game does have to change. And then how to get protein up. Most people are protein deficient. And keep in mind that your body is made of protein all the way from your hair to your toenails, everything in between, including your eyeballs and all of your hormones. They're all protein based, right? So, and then the other piece was cortisol. We talk about being high, but another reframe on it is requiring or acquiring a calm sense of readiness. So she would come back to us and say, Michelle, I could hear your voice in my head. I'm now having a calm sense of readiness, right? And so that helped her to calm down and then release that extra belly fat that she had that she wasn't happy with so that she achieved her goal. And all the time she did that without counting calories, tracking, and she had wine all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And she came to us, she was like, what's going on with my hormones? I'm puffy all the time. I have extra 10 pounds I don't like around my belly. This is something new. Again, she started to do what she was doing in her 20s. It didn't work. And she couldn't figure it out. I'm exercising so hard. I'm watching my macros. I'm tracking everything. And she was told to eat every 2-3 hours. So anyways, all that turned around and now she's like, oh my gosh, I don't track anything, nothing. I eat when I'm hungry. I stop when I'm just full, have a calm sense of readiness. I make sure protein's a priority. And I watch my schedule. I don't overcommit myself. I don't overdo it because I know it's just like hitting me in the butt, right? It's making me tired. And so all that was turned around because what happened was she's entering a new phase in her life, right? She didn't know how to navigate it. Now she's like, she's on point. She's already, yeah, she's great. Yeah. So the summary of our model is insulin. We talked about insulin, the ICE model, insulin, cortisol, estrogen. We talked about how all three control our weight, cravings, and mood, and how they work in a specific order. Okay. So just looking to see if there's any questions here. Oh, wait, 21 questions. Okay. So let's look at those. Okay, these are great. Okay.
Can you repeat the numbers?
Okay, I'm going to go, here we go. So let's start with Maria says, thank you. You're welcome. Can you repeat the numbers for the blood test? Yeah, let's talk about metabolic health. The first one is I need you to get insulin tested and fight for it because it's going to give you a good indicator if you're on your way to diabetes type 2. Glucose isn't the full picture, okay? Because insulin's been elevated way longer than glucose has. So let's find out the first player, insulin.
What Michelle means by that is that sometimes they'll just do your HbA1c and not do your insulin, right?
Yeah.
And so you need to ask for insulin as
You
well.
have to ask for it. And all you say is, hey, listen, just play up a story. I don't know, and get it done. So insulin, fasting insulin. When I say fasting insulin, I mean that before you go get your blood work, make sure that you, first of all, haven't taken supplements in 2 days. Second of all, you haven't exercised extensively in 2 days, like hard. Walking's okay, light exercise, but not full on. And also you're fasting. That means no calories for 12 hours from dinner to breakfast. Then you can eat after the test. Okay, water is good. You actually need water for them to do the blood draw, but no lemon in your water. No lemon, no coffee, even though there's no calories, okay? And so you want your insulin, and the insulin needs to be between 1 and 5. If it's over 5, that means that it's working really high to bring glucose down, okay? And that's why you're not actually burning fat, because you keep storing it, because insulin is a fat storage hormone, okay? So insulin, we talked about how to get insulin down, but now you know the numbers. The other one is hemoglobin A1C. That is a marker of your last 3 months of how you're handling blood sugar and how quickly you're aging as well. So you want hemoglobin A1C to be below 5.1. Okay, if it's above 5.1, you're aging very quickly. You're caramelizing your tissues in your body because glucose is attaching to your tissues, the protein, and it's making them caramelizing, and you're aging very quickly. Okay, so you want that to be below 5.1. You also want to check, obviously, fasting glucose. So that number needs to be between 70 and 100. All right, and then I'd love for you to get highly sensitive CRP. That tells me how inflamed you are. So not just CRP. Don't buy into that. No, we want highly sensitive CRP. And that's going you want it below 1. You want to actually below 5.5, but below 1 is fine. These are optimal ranges. If it's over 1, you're highly inflaming. And the body is, can I do this? Okay, because otherwise your body's inflaming, it's not going to release the weight because it thinks it has an infection. It's going to hang on to everything, and you're chronically inflamed and everything falls off the rails. So those are really, really important. We actually have a cheat sheet called the blood work recommended cheat sheet that all of our clients get. Because listen, we got to get the right numbers down because oftentimes you're not. They're giving you a few numbers, but it's not the full picture. How are you supposed to come to a conclusion with just a few numbers? No. You want the complete count. And so what I do is it's called blood work recommended. All of our clients get it. They have this languaging. They go to the doctor. They get all the blood work done. They send us the results, and then we look at it clinically to go, oh, you're on your way for this, or we have to tackle this. Really important. We need to stand up for ourselves. Go back to what shows the signs. Go back to the broad down.
Down of estrogen.
Go back to the bras down of estrogen. When it's off. Oh, when estrogen is off. Okay. When estrogen is off, you have, so many symptoms. When estrogen is off, first of all, it's hard for you to lose weight because you're not that superhero anymore. You also have low libido, you have vaginal dryness, you have mood swings, you have
skin turnover, hair can be falling out,
dry skin,
lack of energy, poor sleep.
Yeah.
Is there a way to increase estrogen naturally?
Yeah. The phytoestrogens, we walk through those, and the natural sun. It's the phytoestrogens and handling your stress. That's a big piece.
Stress is the big piece. Stress is one of the biggest pieces, right? If we get the stress piece correct, many things change, right? Your insulin will change, cortisol is obviously going to change, estrogen is going to change.
And the best way to handle the stress, I tell you, is get that sleep. Start to prioritize that sleep and start to be in bed by 9:30, 10, not this 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. You're missing the window of opportunity, which is growth hormone between 12 and 2. You need to be in bed by 10 to be able to get that deep growth hormone release between 12 and 2 to help you build muscle and burn fat. If you're missing that, it's like you're missing that gold. I call it the holy grail, the growth hormone. So we need you to be in bed by 9:30, 10. Wintertime, 9:30. And so when you have that deep sleep, you wake up and you can handle stress so much better, right? But if not, you're not. So it's like start with the stress. Start with the sleep. Start getting that sleep. The recipe book. Yeah, we'll definitely get that off to you. So Maria, I guess what I'd want is your email. If you can pop your email into this chat. Oh, we have your email. Oh, we'll send you the recipe book. Yeah, it's great. Rosa, recipe book, Nicole. What is step 1? Step 1 is to manage insulin. And how you do that is, okay, insulin is going to dictate how much fat you're going to store. So you don't want to store all that fat. Okay. So what you want to do is keep insulin. You want to store nutrients, but not fat. So what you want to do is keep insulin down. How do you do that? Every time you eat, Rosa, I want you to prioritize protein. That means 30 to 50 grams of protein for every 2 to 3 meals that you're having that day, not stacking. And so when you do, insulin's not really going to go up that much. It's not. It doesn't really need to. It'll kind of stay down. It doesn't go up and stay up. So it's just going to go up and it's going to come down. It'll be great. And that way the cells can reset themselves from being insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. Now you don't have this blood glucose issue and the energy goes into the cells. You have energy, your body's lean. So the number one thing is how you eat. So protein's a priority. When it comes to carbs, you want carbs. Carbs aren't the enemy. You want the fibrous carbs, okay? the fiber, because that's going to balance your blood sugar and feed the good gut. And also they're phytoestrogen, right? They're going to support estrogen. So you want to make sure you have protein, fiber, and just a little bit of the healthy fat. We don't want the seed oils. We don't want the canola oil. We don't want that. We don't want the grapeseed oil. No, we want the Mediterranean fats. Just a little bit of that. So you're going to be eating 2 or 3 times a day. When you do, I promise you, eating that way will keep insulin down so that you're not going to store more fat. You're just going to store nutrients, right? And then this way, when you do, you're going to have less stress so you can sleep better at night, and then you can keep insulin down. So that's what I would say for step 1.
And
okay?
one of the things to watch, although Michelle mentioned the protein and keeping the protein and the carbs proper, one of the things that can make it fall off the rails is if we drink the wrong beverage with our food. We shouldn't really be adding water while we're eating our food, because it what's the word I'm looking for?
Dilutes the
Dilutes,
pancreatic
that's the word.
enzymes.
Dilutes our digestive acid, so we're not breaking down our protein. But
Mhm.
the other thing is, we shouldn't be drinking 2 liters of Coke with it either, because that's going to spike our insulin. I know that's kind of like well, yeah, of course I would never do that. But there are people that automatically have a pop or a soda or a cola or something like that as a beverage, just automatically with every meal, believe it or not, that they have during the day. So that would cause a spike in blood sugar, even if you had really nice protein and good fat in there.
Mhm.
So of course we don't do that.
Yeah, you don't want the simple, yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get back to the questions in a minute. And there's a lot of them, so thank you for doing that. So we talked about the, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna introduce the challenge for you. I know we rambled a lot about stuff, but really we're gonna pull it all together into a 5-day challenge. It's for January 6th. Why? Because this is like the new you for a new year. And so for January 6th, we're going to lead this 5-day Meno challenge for menopausal women, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal women. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a 5-day, once a day for 5 days Meno reset challenge. It's going to be so much fun. So in day 1, you're actually going to be, we're going to test and not guess. You're actually going to be able to test yourself to find out why you're not burning body fat and how to start. Because listen, you may be different from your neighbor. You're going to find out which one, because it's always test, don't guess. We're going to find out what's in the way. And then day 2, now that you know that, you'll be okay. Well, I know what's in my way. Day 2 is we're going to talk about, we're going to get that stress down. We're going to get the sleep on point, and we're going to balance that blood sugar. Okay. So that is going to give you a quick start that way. Then what we're going to do is we're going to also talk about how to eat properly for your body and your goal. And we've already done the testing, so you would have already got some ideas on what you need to tweak with our formula to be able to release the weight and to be able to build the muscle and burn the fat. Okay, so you're going to dial in that meal. You will definitely dial that in. And then what we're going to do is day 4, we're going to talk about the right kind of exercise, and not the wrong, but the right kind that's going to keep cortisol down, but muscle building up. Tone is just muscle building. Okay, so that's day 5. And then day 4, then day 5, we're going to realign everything into one nice little blueprint for you to take and do. Okay, so it's like once a day for 5 days. The training's for an hour. You're left with homework every time, so that you are completely, at the end of it, you'll know exactly what to do to move ahead to for 2026 in a way where you're going to be optimizing your hormones and your health. Okay, so that is coming up. And if anyone, I'm actually going to put the link in the chat here. If you guys want to join that, I'll just put it in here, and you guys can, there it is. Yeah. You can register there. Okay.
See some of the other questions.
Yeah. We're going to look at that. So there's the link to the 5-day challenge. We are okay. No. We need to fast. So Rosa, I'm not sure where you heard that it isn't good for women to fast. So anyways, if we fast for too long, possibly, but there's a very important piece. Listen, we've been fasting for centuries. It's very important for what we call autophagy, cellular renewal. So when you're not eating, your body doesn't have to digest food. It's going to do something else instead of digest food. What is it? Cellular cleanup, autophagy. And so that's why it's really important, because that's how you body detoxifies actually, is when you're not eating. But you can take it too far and muscle waste and raise cortisol. So there's a timing for it, Rosa. There's a timing for it. So a good time frame for perimenopause, if you're still menstruating, 12 hours is enough of a fast. 12, maybe 14. If you're in menopause, 14 to 16 hours. But really, you don't really need to go more than 16. Why? Because you do need to eat. You need to eat to nourish the body. You need to eat to get the nutrients and the protein in. And so if you just follow this nice little rhythm, you're not going to need to do the knuckle fisting 24, 36 hour, 72-hour fast. You won't need to, because every day you're doing cellular cleanup, but it's being consistent with this type of rhythm. So I'm not sure who talked about that. If you have a condition where you're like diabetic, we need to chat, because your body's not used to fasting. And so you can put yourself into this ketoacidosis. We don't want that. So if you have a health condition, then we would want to unpack more about that. Okay. But just for the regular woman, then yes, fasting is good. Okay. So that's the other piece.
How do you cleanse your liver?
Okay. Muscle burn. Okay, so I heard is we are fasting while we sleep. Yes, you're fasting. Yeah.
Cleanse.
Yeah, muscle burns fat. Okay, how do you cleanse your liver?
Mhm.
So we don't want to use things that tonify the liver. That's not cleansing. And that's the biggest mistake most women make. Oh, I'll just take milk thistle. Oh, I'll just take dandelion. You're not detoxing the liver. To truly do a detox, the way that I do it is intracellular detox. I actually use these underdrops. So these are made in one place in the world called Germany. And what they do is when you put them into a bit of water, they actually go to the site of action and they go to the hepatocyte and they open up the door and they spill out the toxins from inside the cell, out the cell. Now, what I do with my clients is make sure they have regular bowel movements, because all that poison from the liver is going to enter into the stool. We need to have it removed out of the body. It's called, so then you're actively getting it out. All those toxins are coming out your stool. And also they're coming out your urine. Those are the acid toxins. So you need to drink enough water for the toxins to come out the urine. You need to have regular stools to get the toxins from the liver out the stool. So that's how you do it. I use the Undus for that. I go inside the cell to get the cell well. Again, I wouldn't make the mistake of thinking that just a liver supplement is going to detox your liver. No, it'll tonify it. It'll maybe support it, but it's not going to detox it.
So I wash my face. Darlene washes her face with coconut oil and uses frankincense oil as a moisturizer.
That's beautiful. Darlene does that. See, these are foods that are not that the cells go, I know what that is. And it's compatible to my biology. It's not artificial. That's good.
Rosa's asking about perfumes. What do you use?
Yeah, essential oils. Really, really good. And you just need a little bit. Always essential oils. And you know what? They smell good. Perfumes, you don't want that on your body. You don't. Peptides.
I never use fabric softener. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
What about using peptides?
Yeah. Again, that's the next level from the low-hanging fruit. Get the low-hanging fruit first. Get your diet on point. Get your nutrition on point. Get the mindset also. Let's just talk about the low-hanging fruit. Get the nutrition on point. Get the sleep on point. Get the exercise on point. Okay. And stop putting toxic chemicals in your body. So we don't want to put that in, right? So do that. Then start to look at shiny object stuff like what? Peptides, supplements, HRT, all those are on top of the right type of low-hanging fruit. How you eat, move, and live. Really, it's a healthy lifestyle.
And the peptides, there's so many of, there's hundreds of them. There's hundreds of them. So you do need to, you can't just take them arbitrarily. You need to work with somebody that's very, very familiar with them. In many cases, they're injectables. If they're oral, they may or may not work. Some people believe that they're broken down in the gut. We're friends with one of the world's renowned peptide users, therapists, but something to consider anyways. Can you post that? I don't know what that is.
Okay,
Can you post that?
Oh, can I post it?
So they're testing insulin, via fasted hemoglobin A1C. That's Rosa.
So let's see.
She wants the blood work cheat sheet.
Insulin. Okay. So yeah, it's close. close. So you want hemoglobin A1C below 5.1, fasting glucose between 70 and 100, and highly sensitive CRP, HSCRP, not
Capital
CRP.
S,
No
small,
CRP.
capital H, small s, CRP.
Yeah. Capital, yeah. And can we get the blood work cheat sheet? Absolutely. Yeah. We'll send that off to you. I know that I have a moderator here who's going to be doing that. What time of day is the challenge? We haven't decided on the time of day. We're thinking most people like 12 noon. It's pretty easy. 12 noon PST. And then 3 p.m. EST seems like a really good time. Everything's going to be recorded. So, but we're going to hang out with you all for an hour, and then you're going to get some homework, and then we're going to review the homework the next day and then get on to the next lesson. Okay. It's going to be building this really good momentum.
And then Rose asked, can you post the name of the liver cleanse brand? So
you wouldn't be able to do these on your own, I have to say. They're from a practitioner, because to do this on your own, you don't want to. You need some professional guidance, and you'd be underserved if you did this on your own. You do need some professional
you'd be
help.
shooting in the dark, you wouldn't.
It wouldn't be good. You
6
need to
years
do
from
it
your
properly.
future.
And I've been doing it 25 years. So I would keep you safe, and I know, and I would help you do the right things. And yeah, so again, we can have a call, and I can just find out where you are, where you want to be. I can offer that to you. We can have a call, and I can get you in the right direction. Okay, that's totally fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you. First of all, you ladies have been amazing. It's like, now we need to look at, okay, who do you want to be in 2026? Like, how do you want it all to look? Do you want to look at how you were before, or do you want to move ahead and transform your body and your health, doing it the right way? So just so you know, this is Lolita. She came to us quite overweight, and she was able to drop 30 or more pounds. Her husband dropped, I believe, 50 pounds. And they were just really, really doing well. And they loved it. We had a lot of fun. So just so you know, you're not broken. It's not you. It's your body's changed, and the strategy needs to change. We need to do new things with a newer body. Okay. And so the first step is the meet your biology, which is understand your body first. So we always test and not guess. The next thing is remove stress signals. So we need to understand that if you're being chased by a lion, you're going to hang on to every single bit of fat. So we need to reduce the stress. How do we do that? With a good sleep and the things that we talked about. The other piece is getting that insulin under control and the estrogen. We talked about those 3 things that are really, really, really important. And just so you know, you don't need to do it alone. You're not supposed to do it alone. You're supposed to do it with a group. And so that's what the Meno challenge is about. But also, we have one more webinar that we're going to offer to you. And that one is January 5th. It's the day before the 5-day challenge. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to be talking about mindset, why being consistent is super important, and why sometimes it feels impossible. And the missing piece no one talks about. Listen, it's consistency that wins the race. Okay. And so we're going to dive deeper into what the biggest part women struggle with most, which is the mindset. They self-sabotage. They do emotional eating. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I fell off the rails. I might as well stay off the rails. That's old. No, we're moving into a new year. And we're going to get stronger and fitter and healthier. And so it's not about lacking discipline. It's much deeper than that. Okay. So just know you don't have to start over again. We're going to make sure that you have a path moving forward that is empowering for you. And so if you've registered for this one, which you have, you're already registered for the one January 5th. Okay. So you're already on that. We'll be posting a little bit more about that.
Receive notification.
You'll get it by your email.
Yep.
And then again, this is just information about the 5-day Meno challenge. I did put the link there. I highly recommend that you join. This is our 3rd coach, Jen. So there'll be 3 coaches on your side for the whole 5 days. Expert coaches, over 100 years experience. We each have our expertise, and we got your back. Okay. And so, yeah. And so what the Meno challenge will consist of is 5 live trainings once a day for 5 days, bit of homework, Q&A, and then you'll get a challenge completion certificate. And also you'll have a 200 credit towards your next Fit and Healthy Forever program by joining. Okay. And that's it there. We've already done Q&A. And so I'm just going to look to see if look at these ladies. They're really, really in it to win it. I love it. See if there's any more questions here. Yeah. So again, Rosa, we can have a call And so, any other comments, questions? Did you guys learn anything today? Got some action steps? Yes,
Thumbs
Rosa,
up.
I got a
Awesome.
thumbs up from Rose. Anyone else want to pop it in the chat? The link says, yes, Darlene, yeah.
For the challenge.
Yeah, except for our other clients, I'll give you, you guys have a pass, you get it for free, yeah. All of our clients get it for free. Our clients that we have now. So I'll give you a link that will give you that pass. But for those that don't know anything about us and want to kind of get a tinker into what are these, what kind of philosophy, what do they do? They put their toe in the water. It's a really nice little way. Also, you're in it to win it. You're putting a little bit of skin in the game, but not a lot. And it's a way to say that you're serious. Okay, because really you need to tell yourself you're serious for this to work. And Darlene, yeah, no cost for our clients. It's all free. So I'll send that off to you. Any other questions, comments? We're always here till the end. So if you have any, and I want to hear that you guys are taking action steps from today. Like, what's the one thing that you're going to do today that's going to move the dial that you learned about? Is it the sleep? Is it the protein? Is it the movement? Understanding you're not broken, it's the hormones. Love to see some aha moments here.
Alrighty.
Okay, so we have gone long the truth, and for those that stayed to the very end, while you are in it to win it, I want you to have a great rest of the evening and think about what we said. The replay will be up, and I'll see you for the next webinar. That'll be January 5th, and Happy New Year to you all.
Alrighty. Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.